Sure. I mean, I don't know how many teams in the country can come back being down 10-0, but I know we're one of them. And we had the winning run on base in the ninth inning, and not that there's a moral victory there somewhere, but it just shows our toughness and shows our fight, and the ability to not get down and find a way to just still be extremely competitive. I thought that was some of the highest levels of compete I've seen from our guys. I'm very proud of how they fought. Totally different game after the top of the third inning. Once we kind of regrouped, unfortunate we couldn't stop the bleeding and allowed 8 runs to score in the top of the third. But that's what happens when you give good teams extra outs. Somebody hits a grand slam or gets a big hit, and they certainly did that. And then, but the response that we had to it is what the takeaway is, and how we responded after getting knocked down like that. Because that was that's about as big of a knockdown as you can handle in a game, getting down 10-0 after 3 innings. But what we did after that was just spectacular. So very proud of how we fought. Came up short, but I have a feeling that we'll see that same type of competitiveness tomorrow. And we've got a great opportunity tomorrow.
Questions for Coach?
What happened with Ethan Darden's start today? What do you think about it?
It's interesting because the start probably doesn't unravel if we just take care of the ground balls, and he gets out of the inning. They're a good hitting team, and they got under some pitches, and you want to try to make a sinker guy, you got to elevate a sinker guy and try to get under the ball. And they did that a couple of times, and they took advantage of a misplay or an error, or whatever the case may be. But probably a totally different start if we handle the ball there in the third. But he gave up single runs in the first and in the second. And, you could tell he was they had a good approach against him. You tip your cap to Wake Forest. They were trying to make him elevate, and they did a good job. They had a good plan. Might not have been his best start, maybe with his best command or whatever you want to, best movement or whatever you want to call it, but he still competed. And we've seen Ethan many times over the last couple of years will get roughed up early and then settle right in, and they'll hit some ground balls and the defense will make plays, and before you know it, it's the 6th or 7th inning. That's just not the way it happened today. And Ethan is a guy that we usually give a little bit of a longer leash to, just because he's had the ability to get out of situations like that before. He's a very tough kid, but that's just not how the third inning went today.
What you think about the bullpen, holding that team down, that kind of offense down, which kind of allowed you guys in the beginning?
Yeah, I thought the competitiveness, after the third inning, we weren't exactly pounding the strike zone. I mean, our strike percentages were less than what our goal is, but we were escaping jams. They had traffic every inning. There was never an inning where they went 1, 2, 3. So we were escaping something in every single inning, and that's hard to do against a really good offensive team like they are. To only give up 2 runs from the 4th inning on, and it was a wind knockdown, weird route type of ball that fell in to score those 2 runs. But we, just right there from making that a heck of a play there in right field to put a 0 up. And then it's a tie game, and everything's different. But I thought the bullpen pitchers that came in, even though their strike percentages weren't as high as what Coach Bellinger wants or what we want as a team or a staff, I thought they competed to get out of those jams. That was the bright spot for sure.
Coach, can you talk about pulling Crichton and what your game plan was for that, and how you thought the players behind him did today?
Yeah, I mean, we've been platooning that spot because Jack Crichton, Tristan Becerra, and Tristan McClatty all deserve to be in the lineup. Those are those are the kind of the three guys that have, you know, been sharing time a bit, and you know, all three of them play the outfield. McClatty can also play the infield. So when we're every game that we play, two of those three are on the bench, and so it was more the idea that, you know, Jack metrically and statistically really hits lefties very well, and so we wanted to give him the start today against the lefty, and we knocked him out fairly quickly, and then went to the righty, and the righty that was in there is a heavy off-speed guy, and, you know, Becetta's got a lot of oppo juice and can really smash the ball oppo, and thought it might be a good matchup for him to get on an off-speed pitch and elevate it, and, you know, potentially hit it out of the ballpark. And then McClatty, you know, his metrics and stats against lefties, when he came in the next time against the left-hander, McClatty's OPS against lefties is over 900, so it's pretty good as well. And you know, just wanted to give him a shot. So I got to continue to try to find ways to keep all three of them going, keep all three of them in there. There are three big pieces of our offense, even though they all are taking turns, so to speak, and rotating. But it was more just an opportunity to get three guys in the game, and, you know, we'll keep looking for those opportunities. We're nowhere near saying that we've stabilized. This is the 9-man lineup that we're going to run out there. We're going to keep giving guys starts, keep getting guys in there, because we've got good players, and we've got good players on the bench every time we play a game.
How much were you kind of watching the wind today, and how much did that affect things?
It definitely played a role. I mean, you know, Colin Priest hit a ball 111 at 25 degrees of launch, and I don't know what Baseball Savant would say about that, but it's probably a batting average on that ball is 1,000, I would guess. And he hit it. The center fielder ran back to the fence and then had to run in, making a diving catch because the wind was gusting. I mean, that was very much an outlier type situation. Jacob Jarrell hit one, same thing, and it got knocked down, and their Williams made a hell of a catch, robbing the home run, jumping over the fence, bringing it back. I mean, look how big of a play that was. But that's another ball that he hit on the screws that's on top of the building on a normal day. So, you know, it's just, that's the way it goes sometimes, and can't control the wind. And if we could, we'd have it blow out when we hit and blow in when we pitch, but you can't do it. So it's just, it is what it is. But we had some we impacted the ball really, really well today, I thought.
What did you see from Gerald just overall today?
I thought he had an awesome approach. He was using the whole field, and, you know, when he's going backside and two-strike hitting like that, and the double he hit in the gap, and then what would have been a home run to right center, you know, he's dialed in. And then even in his last at-bat, the ball he hit foul, I mean, that was an absolute bullet. He hit it 112 miles an hour, and it obviously was a foul ball, but he turned around 95 on that pitch, and, you know, that's also hard to do, to get the head out on 95 like that and smash it. So really, really pleased and proud of him, and he's our hardest worker, one of the hardest working kids in college baseball. So anytime he has success, he's easy to cheer for.
After, you know, kind of making a plea for the place to be packed this weekend, what do you think of the environment today?
Awesome. Yeah, I thought it was you could tell people are back from spring break and, you know, ready to go. And, you know, obviously we wanted to keep cheering on, you know, basketball and follow them through a deep run like last year. And, you know, Brad and the boys, just an incredible season. What they did in the regular season, historic, you know. So, but I think, you know, on any time a basketball season ends, and a, you know, fan base can turn their attention to some of the spring sports. I think we saw that a little bit today too. And, but I thought it was a great crowd. I thought they were into it. I love some of the prompts that we're doing to kind of get everybody more in a participation mode instead of a spectator mode. And when they make noise, when the fans make noise, and when they're loud, I mean, there is not a more hostile environment when this place is rocking, and that's just what we want. You could tell it was impacting the game a little bit, maybe on their side, and it is just such an advantage when this place is loud and hostile and rowdy, and it's just, we need to keep doing it, and we certainly appreciate it. The coaches, the players, all of us, like, really appreciate it when the fans really dial up the energy and make a ton of noise.
Any decision who might start tomorrow yet?
We've got it narrowed down. It'll be either lefty or righty. We'll see. I'll talk to Coach, but I haven't got to debrief with the coaches yet. You know, obviously Lagernick would be an option. He hasn't pitched yet. And then we've got some guys that roll back on tomorrow, like Titsworth and Malstad. And then we'll see who, of all the guys who threw today, who's available tomorrow, plus all the guys who haven't pitched. So could use an opener, you know, have a guy short stint, but I think we'll have to figure that out. And that might be a morning type of decision.
Anything else for Coach? Great, thank you, Coach.